Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to try to break it all down as much as I can. Stock market kind of flat today. Palantir just continues to soar, so we are going to be going over that. Uh, Assuming we can get this lag taken care of on YouTube. Anyway, so normally on Thursday I'll break down the futures. Right, we'll go over the dollar, the Russell, the Nasdaq, the S&P, and just real quickly, they didn't really do anything today. We very flat, very nothing day. The markets are a little overbought, and if you thought the markets were overbought, then you surely thought Palantir was as well. So blowing right through this. So we are at 3 standard deviations because I draw out every week, by the way. And I do have another video coming out just talking about Palantir in general, because there's a reason why I was excited to put this one in the growth count and make it the first stock to pick. So we're definitely, as far as that goes, killing it. However, I am not sure if if I'm gonna buy back to close the 22s or 23s that we're in. Once they were in the 23s, should be in the 23 strike calls. Now we have an average cost of $18, and we have the 23 strikes sold against it. And I use these expected moves to kind of pick what options contracts I'm going to be selling. Now I did not. First of all, I was not planning on selling a call against it, and then earnings just shot that thing up. So here we are at 2 standard deviations. I ended up selling a 23 strike call on it. So we collected $20 there. And then we just shot up even further. And I do think it's a bit overbought. And how I am actually incredibly bullish. Will says, buy it back. Don't let them shares go. Well, what I think I'm going to do for the growth account is let the shares go. So we'll have it from 18 to 23. Yeah, 18 to 23. We might, yeah, we're an 18 average. So my main account's like right there with it. It's at 17, just shy of 18. Might let it go at 23 and then start selling the 23 puts. I am bullish, by the way. I think this is going to be a ticker that stays there, and it's something I posted on the Patreon today. As a matter of fact, was I'm going to keep these funds allocated towards Palantir because I definitely want to stay in. I do think it pulls back, so I kind of want to. I'm on the verge of just, instead of rolling, let it go. Sell some puts, get paid to get back in the ticker, and still kind of enjoy the higher volatility. Because we've definitely seen it push up and then come pulling right back down. Last time we bought it was at the $10 mark after that last earnings. Everybody loved to warn me then. And then it shot up it continued to go even higher. We added on, which is why the average cost is now 17, not 10. What if Palantir just consolidates at 24 and doesn't pull back? So that's a very good question. First of all, I'll be able to see that. If it does base out, we'll collect some free money because it won't pull back. For us to get back in the shares, we'd have to sell some 23 puts, and then it pull back below 23, and then we own it at 23 again. What I don't want to do is get caught up in a momentum cycle, and that's what this is under right now. And I know Palantir kind of has a YouTube following, and I know there's a lot of just borderline cultists in Palantir. There's a lot of people though that are pumping out content because they were buying it way back here, and that's where their average is. So they're just hoping that they get back to break even. A lot of people right now aren't green; they're just less red, and there's a very big difference in that. So I don't want to get caught up. I don't want to get emotions involved and then just get, ignore a completely good opportunity. Right now because the growth account, again, something we started at 0 and we put in $150 and to grow it. So we started applying that towards Palantir. We got our first 100 shares. And I specifically said I'm not selling a call during earnings, and then it shot off and I just got too tempted. So I already got tempted by emotion, I guess. I really did not think we're going to continue even higher. But like Nvidia, it just keeps going. So I would sell the 23 puts, and if I did see this base out, at that point, I would assume we're gearing up for the next run up, because when stocks push up like this, they pull over or they pull back. Seeing any bit of that would want me to just buy the shares outright. I might switch. Let's say we sell 23 puts, and we hang out right here at 24. We hang out. We pull back to 23.50, 23.30. We pull back right to this zone, and we don't fill it all. At that point, I would probably sell another 23 or maybe even sell a 24 strike put just to collect that. Because if I sell a 24 strike put at 23, I'll get my dollar's worth of share price just because an options contract is the real value plus time value. So we would catch the real value in there regardless. We'll still collect a week's worth of theta on that. And hopefully that would suck if it shot up after that. Would still be a good trade. I like your idea of getting 200 shares of Palantir at SoFi. Oh, okay. So you're talking about letting it go and buy 200 shares of SoFi? What happened to Brad's earnings? Brad did say this one was a head scratcher. Brad just needs to wake up. Now, all jokes aside, Brad does stream here on this channel, so I will poke fun a lot at it. That's just gonna be me, because on earnings we pulled back and then we just went zone to zone, and then it just continued even further. There's a lot of lines here we don't need, but another reason I was bullish and didn't want to sell calls in the first place was because we were actually down here close to this trend line. Closer to this trend line down here, at the time I was saying, guys, I'm a buyer, I'm accumulating, and no way am I going to sell some 17 or 18 strike call, collect my pennies on it, and then watch this happen. The options chain priced in a crazy move. It did that, met it, and then exceeded it. So at this point right now, in these momentum cycles, if you guys don't know what these white lines are, I can talk about it later in another video, especially if you're new here on this specific channel and you haven't seen my face a lot. Watching things jump up between these yellow boxes and move around there, nothing new for anybody that has been following me. Oh my God, I just went into just lost it for a second. Where were we going with that? Oh, selling calls. I didn't want to just sell calls, watch it get destroyed, and then, be giving my shares away at something ridiculous. So I wanted to wait for this move, and it's something I actually talked about. Right now, this is on Power Zone Trading. Sorry, I don't know if I went live on this channel, if I was live on Don Franz Show. That is my YouTube channel, but just, again, you've heard Brad talk about it coming over here. I told everybody, guys, I don't want to sell anything close to this. We got earnings coming up. Options are pricing in a really good move. Now, that could have been up or down. Movement is where traders make money. So movement for me is really good as long as it's big. But when we got outside this standard deviation, we pushed it to here. Inside this white dashed line that you guys see, it's you versus the institutions. Yeah, whatever you want to call it, that's that. Once we get outside here, it's you, the institutions, and now the market makers are on the playing field. And you get this vacuum up to 2 standard deviations, and then we should have drawn them 3rd standard deviation because, again, we got that vacuum up again. What happens here is a lot of people are buying into calls. And again, when you buy a call option, let's just go at the money, your 50 deltas. The market maker is now negative 50 deltas. Hard deltas are shares, soft deltas are options. Everything is a delta. Everything has a delta value. So a market maker's job is to be a neutral delta, period. No matter what your bet is, this is how they hedge. So if you go momentum buy, you're just sucked in. You're like, oh my gosh, you're FOMO buying everything. You're buying all the calls. Now the market maker's negative delta, so they have to go out to the market and buy shares to be at a neutral. So you get this kind of vacuum and just suck up to the top, which is what I think we're doing. So this is going to take a little bit to cool off. I don't think we hang out here forever. And I would not want to debate anybody that's a Palantir bull on YouTube. I have no interest in wasting any time in that because I would probably agree with a lot. But because I am a trader and I've seen this move, 19 billion times, I've seen this move more than Palantir shares are outstanding. I know what, I can't say I know what happens, but again, I've seen this game of hot potato take place. A very bullish thing would be to pull back and hold the 21 level. Breaking out above that, retesting that from the top would absolutely be amazing. You think the vote for the S&P is early March. So would be careful. The hype could come back into February. Yes. And I'm one of the people that I'm not going to go out there and just encourage a bunch of FOMO, but that's very much on the table. There's stocks. Remember, the S&P is the top 500. There's quite a few companies that meet the criteria that are just not going to be in the S&P 500. This one I do think stands to be in there. And yes, that will send this thing even higher. You might think I'm chasing at that point, but if we do get the announcement, you'll get a notification from Patreon if you're in there that I just bought Palantir, and we're gonna like if it's at $30, we get that notification, I'm buying because it's probably just gonna go even higher. But I will keep an eye out on these levels. I thought it was interesting to see this thing just pushing up. I wanted to make a video talking about it. I will have a standalone video explaining a wheel strategy, how I create income off of just this. And if you're following the Patreon, and you're in the group following the account, then you've watched me buy this. You're going to watch me sell options. I'm going to take that premium and just buy more with it. So this is going to be a weekly income thing. So I will have a more in-depth video explaining just that whole process so people can understand how that will work, what they expect to see if they're following that account. And if you guys don't know, again, the growth account, something I did last year, started at 0 and then put $150 in. No one actually cared because it started off slow, as it does when you have zero money. Once it got over 100%, then everybody started paying attention. So we started it over, and now Palantir was the #1 stock. We have Palantir and SoFi in there right now. SoFi is the second one. I wanted to get to 100 shares of Palantir first, and then we're going to work on SoFi. After that, I haven't picked the third one, but it will be probably pretty quick. I want at least 3 tickers that I'm working weekly to create income off of, so I can use that to buy more stuff. So I haven't decided the third one yet, but I will have another video talking about, I'm going to be using Palantir as the example, but I want to go over the full-blown, it's called the wheel strategy, but hopefully I can explain it a little bit better because there's no such thing as a home run in that. There's just good plays, but we will be making directional plays later. So anyway, let's kick off with I guess the market in general. Right now, watching the dollar, bull flag or reversal. They both look the same. Depending on your bias and who you follow, they're going to swear by one. Right now, I'm short the dollar. That's where my money's at. Anybody along the dollar is kind of playing this channel up. I would really watch out for this weekly zone, though. Okay, talk about a firm really quick. Yeah, Ted, give me 1 second. Let me break these down, and then I will. I'll do that. Bitcoin, finally, if you guys have my charts, if you see these red lines, again, all that is sideways action. We are sideways inside one candle. If that candle doesn't line up, switch the time frame. Most likely it's going to be on the 4-hour or the daily. We got the break and the close above, which is important. We've breaking above, close right back inside, showing us that we're just hanging out inside. We're very range bound. Got the break and close, which is typically your indicator of which direction we're going. And then so we're up again. First time getting to 45 after the announcement of the ETF. So we'll see what kind of hype we have going on here. 47 looks like this 46, 47 is going to be a tough spot. The fear, fear of missing out. The FOMO, everything I think comes back when it breaks 50. I really don't care about Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. I buy it every week. But as far as like, oh, it pushed up. I don't care if it's at 48. I don't care if it's at 42. To be honest, nothing changes. Nothing in my mind changes. Breaking above 50. I think everybody is going to start talking again. Once it is closer to 100,000 than it is 0, we're tilting the scales. We're going to bring back FOMO. It'll be back on Facebook, and even your wife's boyfriend will be buying and talking to you about it. So until then, just keep an eye on it. As far as the Russell goes, a little bit of a bullish day, which is odd because financials were getting wrecked. XLF was selling off. Wells Fargo wasn't doing good. I saw that. But ultimately still kind of hanging out in this range. We have lower highs, we have higher lows. So we'll kind of see which way this breaks out. Right now, well within our means to go, I guess, up or down the next couple of days. This is our expected move. We haven't done anything this week. As far as the NASDAQ, nothing day. Again, a little bit up, a little bit down. I can go over the NASDAQ or I can go over Nvidia. They're the same thing. Also, I hate Nvidia. Just kidding. I talked about this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. What's today? Thursday. Talked about it on Tuesday. Yes, because I did grab Nvidia puts Wednesday. They are down. They were up for a little bit, but I told the group, I said, I'm gonna grab this with some cardboard hands, not really paper hands, because I bought puts over here, sold off, trailed it. Great trade. And then the next day I bought them. I'm going to hold on to this thing. I saw it green, could have made some money. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hang tight. I think we're a little bit extended. So I do have February 23rd. So it's going to be after earnings anyway. But if that does sell off anywhere in between, I will not be just doubling down. I will actually just be trailing it. So as far as my plan on Nvidia, just real quick, it's 0 to hero. It's risk and capital. There's no doubling down. There's no adding on. There's no management. There's no stop loss. It goes to 0 or it makes me money. I will trail it if it's green and we'll be good there. But until then, just sucks to suck. And that's really the only play you can take. When a ticker looks like this, you can try to short it after. The likelihood of you jumping in a put after it sells off, you can jump in all day long. The likelihood of you making money, because you're going to have to pay to play, that is going to be an expensive one to grab. For you to get any kind of assurance of I'll go short when it breaks this level, you might be buying a put at the next higher low. So there's that option of just paying the most you'll ever pay for a put and watch it go to 0. Could pan out, could continue. Or you front run the risk like I did, and it just continues to go up. You get ran over. You jumped on the tracks of a freight train, and it just kept going. Sometimes you can time it just right, and you do, but it's very hard to guess the top of a stock that's doing this. A lot of people thought Nvidia was overbought, for a long time, and it just kept going up. They had a nice little break here where it went sideways, but then this is just January, by the way. 4 weeks of just straight up. I think it looks like they're just creating a bunch of exit liquidity. So I'm going for it. We'll see how that pans out, As far as the overall NASDAQ, nothing. Pulling back into that yellow zone would just be a nice dip buy and a continuation of this trend. So nothing to really even gripe about. Anybody going short right now? Again, granted, I'm in an SPXS position. Again, front running risk. There's no real reason to go short, and to jump in because we're up again, kind of silly. If you're newer or don't fully understand or have like a good grasp on your strategy. As far as the Qs go, plenty of wiggle room for obviously more to the downside, but still well within our means of what we expected for the week. As far as the S&P, just continuing to grind up. Kind of a nothing day. We have to really zoom in on the candles just to get anywhere. I'm going to have to be like Brad and go to the 5-minute time frame just to show any kind of movement. So we opened up. That's a green candle, right? Okay, no, open up here, closed here. The green fill on the insides because the RSI is overbought. Red outline, that is the candle body. Right? What was today? No, today was up. We opened up here. What's today, red or green? I got to take these candles off. Hang on. Okay, red day. There we go. That was confusing me there for a little bit. These different colored bars right here are just when the RSI goes overbought or oversold. They just change that color a little bit. Okay, so I was right. A little tiny red day. Nothing. A little bit down, a little bit up. Absolutely nothing. And like we talked about back here, if we pull back, really just pulling back into that blue zone would just be a dip buy and a continuation up until there is a red candle followed by another red candle. That's the current trend, and you can fight that as many times as you want as it continues to climb up. And I'm trying to word it in a way because I will talk about how much money I made when I go short. But the last thing I would want anybody doing is hearing any fear mongering or anything like that, jumping in short, because this really does, when we're at all-time highs like this, we've had impressive runs like this, things get carried away. People get carried away in their emotions. A lot of gamblers come in and try to go short. It's the same thing as walking up to a roulette wheel. And I've said this 1,000 times. Sorry if you've heard it. You're going to hear it 1,000 more. You walk up to the roulette wheel. You see it's landed on red the last 6 times. You know how many people would just jump in and put their money on black because they think it just hasn't hit it in a while? You know how many times people lose doing that? A lot. That's not how the stock market works. It can continue to go up. So you do have to be careful front running it and trying to go short. If you do buy it, just remember this. If you were to buy right now, the worst thing you can do is buy the absolute peak. Now, if you're buying it for any kind of long-term hold, here was the absolute peak of the Rona. The biggest, fastest crash we've ever seen. Came right back up. If you bought the peak right here, yeah, you were down for a little bit. You're already up. So it's a question of time frame, whether you're going to be a trader, if you're buying SPY for any kind of holding. But that's what stop losses are for. Put that plan in play and just say, hey, all right, I'm going to play this trend. And, if it sells off, sucks to suck. You take an L, you move on. The only stupid thing you can do is buy the absolute peak, bag hold it all the way down, and then get into an emotional state and sell at the bottom. Okay. If you bag hold forever, if you tell me, Don, I'm only going to sell the S&P when it's green, I'm going to buy SPY and I am not tagging out. All right. The only thing you're probably really going to lose is opportunity cost. Because if you bought at, this peak over here, no stop loss or nothing, that was March of 2022. So it's been a year. You're finally up. How much money could you have made in the meantime? Or, even worse, this peak right here, January, been an actual whole year, and you're just now up. Could have done a lot of things with that capital. So just thinking about things like that. As it stands right now, the market just continues to grind higher. There's quite a few tech names that have me, I don't want to say worried, but and the reason why I have this circled, and I don't want to talk about a crash or anything, because I don't think we're crashing. But before a sell-off, they like to send it a little bit higher. This was the stock market grinding up, sent it a little bit higher. That was actually the start of the Rona back here. Get everybody pumped, and then use retail to hold the bags as you sell all your positions. And that is kind of what the market looks like to me right now, is who's trying to get out of this thing. Who's trying to sell some shares, create that liquidity, and then get out. But also, it being an election year, they're going to start pumping in money. I do think they're going to pad things to make it look nice. If we don't pull back anytime soon, February, March, probably not happening this year. If you bought SPY today, where would you put a stop? If I bought SPY shares, probably I would go below this previous higher low right here. Because if that breaks right there, if it breaks 481.45, then we're going lower. It has broken this uptrend. And that's where I would put my stop on SPY shares. I did say I would go over a firm. What? Oh, my bad. There we go. Hit the wrong button. All right. Firm is in. Remember that whole thing I was saying about exit liquidity? Call it a volleyball spike. If you've been watching the last couple streams, send it up. Get everybody excited. Send it down. About this green candle right here is where all the YouTubers start talking about it. This is where the institutions start talking about it. How much money they made as they sold. But let's grab some absolute peaks here. Let me zone this out first, and then we'll talk about it. I would put a speed bump zone. So blue, I would call speed bump zone. It's what I do call them. Like, we could reverse here. It's time for management inside here. Like, if I'm long or if I'm short, like let's keep an eye out here. I don't like putting stops in inside zones. It looks like that's where I'd have everything. We even broke above. So we dropped all the way down, bounced out of this zone. Been a while since we've broken this one down. Oh, so that blue zone we literally just drew was the absolute peak over here. Which, if you're new on this channel, you probably should just get used to me doing that. I wish I could just tell you how to. If I had a video on just how to draw zones and just it'd be one video and make you guys a super trader, I would have it up. But I don't. It just takes time. Bounce out of that. I want to see if there's anything over here as to why we just. All right. Okay, so if I'm watching over here, I would be watching this. This would be a full-blown zone. This is a bit much. I would fine-tune that to right there. And then I would want another speed bump. Yeah, hang on. We'll call that a zone. Right there. Hang on. All right. Gosh, where did I just go? Come on, where did the candles disappear to? There we go. It bugs me when these little dots are way down here. All right. I wish I could just see this all on one monitor. All right, and then this is going to get fine-tuned a little bit. All right, let's get back to Can you talk about Palantir options? Yes. Which ones? In the beginning, I talked about Palantir, and I'll pull up the options chain for you real quick. But I do have. I'm going to make. I didn't want to just add Palantir into this stream because I do have to get to my mentorship group. But I wanted to do a video for anybody that's following the Patreon or anything like that. I want to do a video for you guys to talk about Palantir, the options, how I pick them, all of that, because that way, instead of just copying the trades that I post, because if you guys are brand new on the Patreon account, or if you're actually in my group, I post everything. So it's real time as I do it, but I wanted to make a video explaining everything so you guys aren't just surprised or you understand a little bit better. And that's where I will pull up the chain, talk about options, the strikes, how I pick them, and all of that. So I would have had this top one zoned out right here. Where's my dots? Yeah, there they are. We did not quite make it to that zone. Okay, sold off, hit that, pushed back up. Where are we at? Honestly, you'd have to let the dust settle for a couple days. Anybody who caught the knife here, if I had a limit buy at 38, my stop loss would be 39.85. As it stands right now, I actually like this ticker. I like the way it looks right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hang on. If you guys see a pink line right here, that is my alert. Because for everyone that actually has my charts, if you have my chart link, you have all my lines, you have everything. I'm going to put I just want to break down a little bit. I'm going to put a line right here because you can just right click and click add an alert to that line instead of just adding an alert. Now, every one of you guys have it. If I just add an alert like this, I see it. You guys can see it on YouTube, but you don't see it in the chart link. So that's why those pink lines now with the little clock, those are my alerts. When that sells off and tags tomorrow, I'm going to see how much premium we can put up on a 39 strike. Firm. Let's go trade February 16th. 39 strike. If I could collect another $1.30 off a 39 strike, I would do that. I wonder if that's updated. All right. So as far as Palantir goes, we do have the 23 strikes sold. Not for the 16th. I was like, that seems a little off. Anyway, for the 29th. Oh, I could have sold it for a lot more than 20 cents. It was out of the money when I sold it. I thought the pink line was the Barbie alert. No, light pink. All right, so as far as Palantir goes, right now, so we sold this one for 20 cents. So it's up $1. We'll call it $1.60. To close that, I would have to buy it back for $1.60 and then roll it to February 16th, 23. I would sell this one. So it looks like I would collect about $26 rolling the 23 strike into next week. I would have to pay $10 to roll to a 23.50. Don't want to do that. Let's go to hang on, 23rd. I could go up to the 23.50 strike and collect $9. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to let these get called away at $23. And then I'll switch and sell the 23 puts, which let's see, if we went to next week, 23 strike puts, I would collect $28 on that. I think that's what I would do. Where the deltas at? Deltas are still at a 20. I might even beef it up and do the 30 deltas and just do the 23.50. You think Palantir is coming down to around 21.50? That would be nice. I definitely wouldn't mind that. But I want to own the shares. I don't want to. I would rather sell the 23s, 23.50s, get assigned, and sell calls again and own the shares and watch it bounce to 20 at 21, 21.50 versus I sell the 21s, avoid assignment, watch that bounce, miss a dip buy, and then I don't, then we're not in it. And there it is, the S&P announcement, and then it just goes nuts. So look at selling puts close to the money. I think what I'm gonna, so normally, guys, when I sell options contracts, I like the teens, right? I like 15, give or take a couple is great. Something sub 20 delta. A lot of option sellers like the 30 delta, and I don't really care for that. This particular case, I think I'm just going to switch to the 30 delta and not hope for assignment, but borderline kind of like a relief. Like, all right, I'm back in this ticker because I do like this company. I don't want to say it's FOMO, but I don't want to get caught up in a hype cycle, which might be the case right now. The question is there an expectation? The question is there an expectation that Palantir continues up? Look at the puts, open interest and volume on this. Puts are loaded out. As far as calls, all the calls are in the money. I think that's a question of who you're asking. Is Palantir going to continue up? Ask any YouTube nerd. Yeah, it's going to go 50. How many thumbnails did we see? 30, 40, 50. Palantir's just beginning. Palantir's the next Tesla. Kathy Wood, something about Palantir. There's a million. All it is right now is a bunch of hype because it did go up. It's had a fantastic move. We're at 3 standard deviations. We are, 3 times what we thought we were going to be. There was a 1% chance we were even going to be here this week. Here we are. So I do think we get a little bit of a pullback. Fundamentally, yes, I think it does continue up. Does it pull back first? I think more than likely. Wall Street bets. You pump Palantir? The earnings call is fire. Yeah, make no mistake. I am not disliking Palantir. I really like it. But again, I have to make money because that's how I pay my bills. It's not YouTube. So I can't just be behind a hype train and have YouTube pay all my bills. I need to make money. Anyway, I do have to get to my mentorship group. There is a standalone video coming out. I'm going to use Palantir as the example as far as selling options. I'm going to sell calls to let the shares go. It's going to be explaining the wheel strategy, but everything I've done and will do this year on Palantir. So just look out for that. But I got to wrap it up here. I will see you guys all Sunday. Yeah, make sure you subscribe. We're going to be live Sunday because we're going to go over these white lines and see if we can stick in there. Anyway, have a good one.